in the time of King Ahab, there were about 450 prophets of Baal. And the few genuine prophets of God that were there, King Ahab, through Jezebel, or Jezebel through King Ahab, spied a lot of God's prophets, so that only Prophet Elijah was there to confront the 450 prophets of Baal. In Africa today, there are thousands of prophets of Baal and very few genuine prophets or pastors or men of God. And guys, I want you to listen to one of the genuine men of God in Nigeria.
Now, this is the difference between the devil. The difference between the devil and God. Listen very carefully. Listen. The devil said to Jesus, if you worship me, I will give you all these things. So what is he doing? He is bargaining for worship. God does not bargain for worship. God does not induce worship. God does not incentivize you for worship. Worship is his right. People don't bargain for what is their right. The devil is bargaining because he does not have right to it. So your worship is very important. But the difference between God and the devil is God does not bargain for, he doesn't beg you. He doesn't beg you. He does not use blessings as a bargaining chip. I have told you before, God is not a trade by barter God. All those are Luciferian gospels you have been hearing. The reason God blesses is not because you worship him. The reason God prospers is not because you are worshiping him. Check your life. Those who don't come to church, they have even more material prosperity than yourself. You cannot use material blessing as a bargaining chip. Okay, Father, if you bless me, I will worship you. He doesn't need it. God does not bargain for worship. He does not induce worship. He does not incentivize worship. Oh, 5 Sundays of power and glory. Come and all your problems will be solved and all of that. God is not going to solve your problem because you're coming to worship him. You don't even need to go to church one day, and I can assure you will have material prosperity and blessing, even much more than those who go there. It is not a discouragement to those who worship God. It's to let you know that God is not so needy of worship that he has to either bargain or incentivize you. Whatever God gives you, he gives you out of his love. That's why his love is what? Unconditional. Matthew 5, he makes his rain to fall both on the what? On the wicked and the good. God is not looking for worship as a condition to bless you. God will not stop blessing you even if you stop worshiping him. So if you like, don't come to church again. I don't care. It will not still stop God from making you a billionaire tomorrow if you wanted to make you one. God does not bargain for worship. But let me tell you something. It's your privilege. When Jesus was entering Jerusalem and people were shouting, Hosanna to the Son of David, the Pharisees approached Jesus, tell them to shut up. What did Jesus say? Even if they should keep quiet, the stones and the sticks will do what? They will rise. Number 1 is his right. Number 2 is your privilege. Why? Why you must worship is because you are the one benefiting from it. You have a soul. I taught you the other time. Soul and spirit. They were created to worship. If you do not worship, you are starving the eternal dimension of your being. And you are the one who will suffer. You will be malnourished spiritually. So whenever you worship, it is not God you are edifying, it is yourself. And when you stop worshiping, you may be as rich as Dangote, you may be as rich as Elon Musk, you may be as rich as Mark Zuckerberg, but once you do not worship God, you are starving the eternal dimension of your being. And on the last day you will hear, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and suffers the loss of his own soul? So worship does not edify God, it edifies you, because David said in Psalm 42, like the deer that yearns for running streams, so my soul is what? Is yearning for it. So there is a hunger in your soul. That hunger is worship. There is a thirst in your soul. That thirst is worship. If you do not offer that worship, you are starving the most dynamic and eternal part of you, because very soon you are dust, and unto dust you shall do what? You shall turn. But it's the souls that worshipped that will continue. The time has come when those who worship the Father must worship him in spirit and in truth. God not the beg.
The thing in life is that those who speak the truth are rarely heard. Imagine if the 40,000 churchgoers of the fake churches we know in Africa, I don't want to mention any name, okay, but you know the fake churches in Africa. Imagine if their congregation would have the opportunity to listen to things like this from the church. Imagine how much people's mentality will change, because what I can say right now is that we are in religious bondage. We're in Christian bondage. The people who have made us believe that they're hearing directly from God are the ones misleading us, so that everything we're doing right now pertaining to Christianity is more like a habit, is more like a tradition, that we've come to believe in ourselves that if we do not do those things, God is not going to be happy with us. I've talked so many times on this page how I stopped going to church. It's not like I'm proud of it, but there were things that made me stop going to church. But despite that, I'm not atheist. I still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus Christ, so that whatever I'm doing right now with my God, I'm doing it personally. Like this worship he's talking about, yes, he is right. That's why even on my Spotify, there are some Christian worship songs. Apart from the fact that I can listen to Tupac, I can listen to other worldly music, secular music, but I also have some worship music on my Spotify. And once I want to get connected or closer, I want to edify my soul, I turn on to Spotify and listen to those worship music. Once I listen to those music, I feel connected, as if I'm right now in the presence of God. So what he's saying is right. Yes, it is our privilege. Once you listen to spiritual and godly and edifying music, your soul is what gets nourished. I don't know if only listening to worship music or only worshiping God will take you to heaven. That's not what we're talking about. But what he's trying to say is that don't be deceived by those Luciferian preachers. Fada Oluoma of the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja is one of those pastors or preachers or men of God who speak the truth with no sentiment. As in, he gives you the way it is. So even now, one listen, we could not listen. I decided to bring this up. I know a lot of you might have watched it on his page, but I just wanted to give my input that this man is a true man of God. He is right. He is the prophet Elijah of our time. Yes, we have few of them in Nigeria, but we have a lot of the fake ones in Nigeria. So if you are a member of one of those fake churches that even when you have the opportunity to hear things like this, but because your mind have been so conditioned to believe that what you're listening to from your so-called Daddy Geo is the right thing, well, that's why I said you're in spiritual bondage. You are, unfortunately. So guys, understand that God doesn't need anything from you. Whatever you're doing for God is your privilege, and it is God's right. Because first of all, if you're a Christian, he created you for that very purpose. It's your boy, the Crackhead, wishing you all a wonderful day. Bye for now.